and we'll have this conversation with Olabetu Ibekwe. She is the convener, Africa Social Impact Summit. Glad to have you join me in the studio. Good, fantastic. How concerned, really, should Nigeria be with the dwindling funding from the West to address some of these social challenges?
Thank you very much for that question. I think Nigerians should be really concerned, and that's because, based on statistics from the UN, developing countries have a funding gap of about $4 trillion to be able to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. For African countries, about $400 billion. And for us at home here in Nigeria, we're talking about $31.5 billion. That's some financing gap right there. And over the years, we've been having development finance from donor countries supporting health, education, food security, livelihood, job creation, capacity building in country and in hard to reach locations in Nigeria. Now you find that those cuts are happening. It's really a shock, especially in 2025. And it also presents an opportunity for us because there's nothing as great as Nigerians solving Nigeria's problems.
Yep.
There's nothing as awesome as Africans being intentional about solving these problems. I actually think it is a catalyst. Yes, it is a problem, but it is also a catalyst. It is an opportunity for Nigerians to stand up and take action. It is an opportunity for us to explore domestic resource
outside
mobilization. Yes, you mentioned thinking, yes, innovative financing models, because we cannot continue like this.
Now, this is not here. What do we do? U.S. is lamenting the paucity of foreign aid. So what effect do you see this having on, we've been talking about Nigeria, particularly, and other African countries? that can narrow it down to how does this particularly affect the achievement, if the will of the SDG?
Of course, it has taken us back by a lot of indicators. It wasn't like we were doing fantastic. You know, COVID came and took us back by several indicators. We were just trying to catch up, and then the funding cuts came in. And that is why we're privileged to co-convene the Africa Social Impact Summit with the United Nations system in Nigeria and the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, working with wonderful about 60 partners. And that's instructive. Why is it instructive? This platform started with about 8 partners and has grown by over 500%. More organizations, especially the private sector, are seeing the need for us to collaborate.
Pool.
For us to see how we can work together to address our common challenges and common problems. Because if we are talking about insecurity, it is not limited to just the public sector, the private sector, or the development ecosystem. It is a Nigerian problem. So it's time for us to look at it as a Nigerian problem, as an African problem. That is why this platform is so important, because there's nothing like this that exists in our climate today. An opportunity for the government, for private sector leaders, for the UN system, for the CSOs, and also philanthropists to come together to see how we can co-create solutions for our unique challenges.
I'll come back to that, and this is holistic. Then we'll talk about diving into it, what particular things can be done, but I will come back to that. But let me ask you this. There's a 5th Africa Social Impact Summit, right?
Correct.
Up. What do you think Nigeria will benefit from this?
And the theme of the conference is financing for development.
Okay.
Building resilience and transforming emerging economies. That is actually what Nigeria needs now. It is critical. It is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Across all sectors, not just the critical sectors. Now more than ever, it's time for us to see how we can finance development and stop thinking about just aid. There is no economy that is built on aid.
No.
It is time for us to see how we can transform private capital to development capital.
Now that you're talking about that, so what should Nigeria be doing in terms of mobilizing resources locally to bridge, I think you said it's
$31.5 billion.
to bridge this gap of dwindling funds from international donor agencies? What particularly should Nigeria be doing?
Well, that is on the agenda for the Africa Social Impact Summit, coming up July 22 to 24 at the Eco Convention Center, Lagos, Nigeria. The platform seeks to prioritize three things. Number one, catalyze multi-level, multi-sectoral strategic partnerships. Number two, attract impact investment into scalable solutions. And that's because we realize that if you want to leverage private sector capital, you cannot just be looking for grants. We're looking at opportunities of exploring blended finance models, innovative finance models, seeing how philanthropic capital can take first loss and de-risk sectors, opening the opportunity for institutional investors to come in. So that is number two. And finally, advocate for the right policies. So that question you asked is not just a one-size-fits-all answer. We need to create a structure around ensuring that what we're doing is not just effective, it is also sustainable over the long term.
Long run. Thank you so much. Olakmeju Ibekwe, the convener African Social Impact Summit. Interesting discussing with you.
Thank you very much.
Being on.